urge you to remind them that they need to look to their supply chains first. We'll prioritize accordingly, and any states that are in the middle of critical response, know that we will work with you to get you what you need. Other states, you need to talk to your healthcare leaders, providers, and make sure that they are going to the supply chain. And we encourage you to pull them together today to emphasize that point. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mike. And I want to get back to the governors. I do want to say, to me, something so big. The FDA has approved compassionate use for a significant number of patients. We have a drug called chloroquine. A derivation would be hydroxychloroquine, which I hear even better about. It's a common malaria drug. It's been available, so therefore the safety level we understand very well. It's been relatively safe, and it showed very encouraging early results. Really encouraging. If this works as well as hopefully it might, the FDA, which would have taken normally much longer to do under our great secretary, has been fantastic. The head of the FDA has been Dr. Hahn, Dr. Stephen Hahn. He's been fantastic. He got it approved very quickly. I won't even tell you how quickly, but let's put it this way, it's approved. And we're encouraging you to take a look at it. We have ordered a lot of it, and you can too. It's by prescription. It's a very powerful drug for malaria and also for various forms of very serious arthritis. But we think it has a very serious, very good impact on what we're talking about with respect to the virus. So you'll take a look at that, and you can coordinate with us. But I think to me that's a game changer. You know about the vaccines are fine, but that will be a while before you can test them because you have to leave quite a bit of period. We are making tremendous progress on a vaccine, but it still takes a long while to test it. We're also studying this and other promising therapies, which is a therapy produced by Gilead, and that would be it's called remdesivir, and it shows great promise. And Regeneron is a company which is also working very hard on a drug, and it's also they're doing very well. They are the ones that came up with a very successful solution to Ebola, and they've been a fantastic company. So we have some great things, but the ones that I mentioned are very good, but especially I think if you look at the first mention, could be a absolute total game changer. And with that, I think we'll go back to this is by prescription, but states can issue it, and we have it approved by the FDA, and I think it's going to be something that will be very interesting to see. We're going to know very quickly, but we've had some very good tests, and it's been successful. So let's take a look. To me, that's probably the most important thing that anybody can say, if it works. But we have it approved for safety. And I want to thank the FDA for acting so quickly. It was incredible how quickly. This was something that would have taken years, and they got it done almost immediately, based on the past history of the drug. Thank you very much. Who is the next governor, please? Hi, Pete. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much for all your leadership, the Vice President. Appreciate it. Absolutely, the key things we're hearing from people are around PPE and testing, so we're on the right track with that. We need to expand the access for those. I got three quick things to bring to your attention. One is reagents to process the test. So once, for example, somebody's been swabbed and we have a test kit, sending it to our lab, we're working to conserve the reagents, but I think some of my colleagues are actually out. So if you can put some attention in the CDC to how we can make sure we're getting reagents out to everybody so we can actually process the test we're getting.
Okay.
That would be a key thing. Second thing, childcare. Following your directive from Monday, we reduced those public groups to 10 people, but we need to pop up alternative daycare, especially for our first responders, public, our health officials, anybody involved in public safety. So we need a waiver from the fingerprint requirement to be able to do that quickly. So I want to put that on your radar screen to be able to see if we can have somebody take a look at that.
All right,
Get
good.
moving on that.
Good.
And then finally, guidance from on special ed from the Department of Education for the free appropriate education requirements. Please ask somebody to work with the chief state school officers on a temporary approach. The recent guide that was put out actually created more consternation, more concern. I've got attorneys in some of our schools telling our teachers they can't do anything because they're going to get sued because of the FAPE requirements. So if we can have some temporary guidance that allow us more flexibility, our schools again are operating without students in them. We'd like to be able to use them for other things, and this
That's
apparently
great.
is a barrier for getting that done.
That's great.
Thanks for your help on this.
We'll get right back to you on that, Pete. Thank you very much. Great job you're doing. Thank you. Okay, who's next, Governor? Who's our next governor? Next.
Hey, Mr. President, Vice President, this is Governor Baker from Massachusetts.
Hi.
First of all, I want to thank you for signing the Family First Act. That will certainly provide needed resources to all of us, and I'll obviously echo the argument that other governors have made that more flexibility is better than less with respect to additional federal support, just given the way we all work. I just have two things on the PPE issue, which obviously is a huge issue for all of us. The first is, can you talk a little bit about the guidance you're going to offer, or just give us some guidance on how the implementation of the Defense Production Act is going to work with respect to trying to man up and generate additional capacity around the PPE stuff. And then the second thing, and I'm not quite sure what to do with this, so I'm just going to throw it out there for you. We took very seriously the push that you made previously on one of these calls that we should not just rely on the stockpile and that we should go out and buy stuff
Right.
and put in orders and try to create pressure on manufacturers and distributors. And I gotta tell you that on 3 big orders we lost to the Fed. So my question is, could you give some of these guys some guidance that says, if states are doing what the Feds want, trying to create their own supply chain on that, that people should be responsive to that? Because I got a feeling that if somebody has a chance to sell to you and a chance to sell to me, I'm going to lose every one of those.
All right, Charlie. Thank you very much. Well, we do like you going out, seeing what you can get, if you can get it faster. And price is always a component of that also. And maybe that's why you lost to the Feds. I'll tell you, that's probably why. But I'm gonna ask Mike to discuss that because we have some, I think, brand new information. Please, Mike.
Well, Charlie, we will take that back and appreciate the feedback. Secretary of HHS is here, and we want to facilitate all the states and the healthcare providers in your states to be able to access that supply chain as it becomes more robust. Specifically on the Defense Production Act, the president has activated the Defense Production Act, but he's not initiated any other action underneath it. And right now, what I can tell you is, as the president has brought together leaders of business and industry and supply chains, I think, Mr. President, you put it well when you talk about the spirit in American business about wanting to ramp up voluntarily to meet the needs that our healthcare providers have in this country is truly inspiring. And so the president has not yet exercised his authority under the Defense Production Act. He said he will if he needs to. But I think the president's perception, the team's perception is now, is American industry is stepping forward very aggressively, and with the changes that Congress just enacted and the president signed, we're going to continue to make more and more PPE available.
And I will say this, Charlie, and for everybody, the country has really stepped up like I don't think we've seen it in many, probably decades. It's incredible the way they've stepped up. So we hope we can get rid of this thing quickly. Okay, thank you, Charlie. Next governor, please. Next governor.
President, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, this is Larry Hogan, Chairman of the NGA. And first of all, I just want to thank you so much for this call today, and I want to thank you for the great communication that you've had with all the governors over the past few weeks. been tremendous. Mr. President, thank you for signing the second stimulus last night and for your ongoing efforts to mitigate the economic impact that we're all facing. And thank you so much for appointing Vice President Pence, a former governor, to lead this crisis. He's been terrific in working with all of us and reaching out to us.
Thank you, Larry.
Yesterday we had a meeting of all the governors at NGA prior to this call. And, you're getting a lot of input. You're being bombarded by 50 different people with different questions. We try to consolidate it down to kind of a group of concerns that all the governors agreed on were sort of our priorities. And we talked with Doug Holster last night and gave those to the White House. And we want to just raise those issues, some of which you've already covered already in the discussion, but I just want to walk through them, just summarizes. There are 25, 30 different things all the governors were talking about, but these were the ones that were the most, there was most consensus on. One, it was, trying to dedicate at least 50% of the supplemental funding to the states, including some direct funding and acting quickly on waiver requests. You've done a great job with all this funding. We're in a good position at the state level to know the real needs and get the money out faster to some of those small businesses that are impacted. You're doing the stimulus for those industries that are being hurt and getting those checks out to the people that need them. But if we have the money in the states, we can really utilize it, I think, faster and push it out, sort of like we do in other things with block grants. Secondly, we've talked about this a lot, but every governor obviously is trying to work with you and bombarding about things about how do we work together to increase access to PPEs, masks, test kits, extraction kits, and accelerating the production and all of this life-saving equipment, ventilators, and we're working together. But that's obviously something all 50 governors are at the top of their list. Third, and this came mostly from your appointees, Mr. President, the co-chairs of the Council of Governors, Governor Hutchison and Governor Ige, about supporting Title 32 authorization to give governors more flexibility with their National Guards, and it helps us pay those folks and give them benefits that we've activated 2,200 Guard members in our state, and this is something I think the governors had to consider. All 10 of your appointees are on this call, I believe. And providing some guidance on implementation of the Defense Production Act, so we can kind of help work with Secretary Azar and give some thoughts about how the states could be more involved in helping that with some of the industries in our states. And lastly, allowing us some more flexibility for the completion of both the census and the real ID. Because we're trying to not force people into, like our MBAs, we've waived licensing requirements. So we don't have people trying to get renewals of licensing, and yet real ID requires us to get all these people in there by October 1st. So those are kind of five things that all the governors want to address, some of which you've talked about. I just want to again thank you. There's been tremendous cooperation. You have a terrific team that's been working, and I want to try to limit the people bothering you directly and calling the Vice President's phone and blowing up Cabinet Secretary. So I'll reiterate what I talked with the White House about last night, and that is, you mentioned it, Mr. Vice President, going through the normal FEMA process. It's great that you're being so willing to help the governors personally, but I think things will happen better if you go through your regional FEMA coordinators and you got more people addressing these issues. But that's a summary of it. I just throw it out there, so thank you for maybe others on the team could touch on it.
Well, thank you, Larry. And I think the FEMA is going to go great. We've done so much work with FEMA. Unfortunately, recently on a big tornado in Tennessee, you know that, and then last year on a big tornado in Alabama, and plenty of hurricanes. And we work also in California, largely in California, the big forest fires, and FEMA does a job like no other. And so I think they'll be I know they're going to be a tremendous help. On the 2 points that are relevant, I'd like you to call Steve Mnuchin, and I'll speak to him later. Give him a little detail on those 2 points, please, so that while we're doing this with the Senate, we're getting a lot of cooperation from Democrats and Republicans. Maybe you can make those 2 points a little bit with Steve, because a few people do agree with that. Okay? Thank you. Thank you very much, Larry.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Next governor, please.
This man is going to be reelected.
Mr. President, if I might, before the next governor speaks, I might, with your permission, Pete Anderson would give us a couple minutes. I think Governor Hogan We appreciate
Joe
your
Biden
affirmation of the
now
President's decision to
in this
stand
position?
up, FEMA's National Coordination Response Center, and to have all the state requests and resources funnel through a very customary system here at FEMA. But, Mr. President, with your permission,
Yes,
have me
please.
reflect.
Okay.
Sir, Mr. President, welcome to the National Response Coordination Center. And as the Secretary, the Vice President yourself have announced previously, FEMA is the leading federal operations, or is leading federal operations on behalf of the White House Coordinating Task Force, who oversees the whole of government response to the pandemic. Like all of you, we are prepared to do this for the long duration, for the long haul. The health and safety of our employees and the American people is my top priority. As of this morning, the HHS Crisis Action Task Force and other federal partners have fully integrated into the operations base here at FEMA's National Response Coordination Center. Additionally, all 10 FEMA regional response coordination centers around the country have been activated to support ongoing response efforts in each of your respective states and regions. Currently, there are 50 states, the District of Columbia, 5 territories, and 1 tribe that have opted in and have received the 501(b) emergency declaration for COVID-19. In support of this, FEMA's primary goal will be to ensure you have the resources that you need. This is what FEMA needs from everyone. The FEMA regional administrators will continue to coordinate closely with you and your teams to determine the type and level of support you need as you continue to respond to this dynamic threat. Like all emergencies, response is most successful when it's locally executed, state managed, and fairly supported. And we cannot stress this enough. At the state level, it is important that your emergency management and public health teams are linked together. Governors, if you have unmet needs, please ensure they are communicated to your respective FEMA regional administrator. They have a direct line here to the NRCC in Washington, D.C. I also need your help in emphasizing that at the local and county level, they should first be funneling requests up through the state and then from the state to the FEMA regional administrators. Again, locally executed, state managed, and fairly supported. Recently today, we issued guidance to all states about what eligible emergency protective measures are under the Stafford Act. So that was this afternoon, and governors, you should see that shortly. We will also issue guidance on giving more definition about the Defense Production Act. I thank everyone for the continued partnership in this effort, and as the President and Vice President said, we will get through this together as a team.
Thank you very much, Pete. And in addition to FEMA, we have the very, very talented men who have dealt with a lot, building different things throughout the country. The general that you, I think for the most part you know, General Semonite, and that's the Army Corps of Engineers, and very much involved in a couple of locations. I know very specifically, and he's definitely very busy, but he's a good builder, and that's what you need is a good builder. So thank you very much, General, for being here. Okay, next governor, please.
Mr. President, it's Gina Raimondo from Rhode Island.
Hi, Gina. Hi. Go ahead, Gina.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Hi, sorry about that. Good
That's
afternoon, Mr. President and Mr. Vice President. I also want to echo what others have said and add my gratitude for your transparency, and especially the Vice President, who's been very gracious and generous with his time and getting on the phone with me a few times. I very much welcome the opportunity to work with FEMA, and I know we're in good hands because prior to coming to DC, Pete Gaynor was my EMA director here, so you picked a fine man.
That's good.
It's good to hear his voice on the line.
That's great.
I agree with everything that's been said. I want to just add a few other points. One is we are following your direction and asking our hospitals to suspend their elective surgeries for all the reasons you've asked us to do that. That is, however, an incredibly important source of revenue for these hospitals and profit. So as you are putting together the next round of stimulus, I would ask you please to consider direct and sizable stimulus to our hospitals, because they're really bearing the brunt of this.
Okay.
The second thing is and I talked to Secretary Mnuchin yesterday, and he agreed with this. I would ask you to think about the short-term liquidity needs of states. So as our revenue is falling off a cliff, we may need to access the capital market for kind of bridge financing to deal with short-term liquidity, and some sort of a federal guarantee or federal assistance to help us do that would be helpful.
Yeah.
And I think some of us may need that help in a matter of weeks, not months. So I just wanted to put that on your radar. And then I fully support what has been asked for as it relates to block grants, because all of us are on the ground and need some flexibility to quickly react to the needs of our small businesses who, these guys are really struggling, and we're all going to have to do our best to help them. So thank you.
Thank you.
And by the way, thank you for having me call. Incredibly helpful, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Gina, very much. Appreciate it very much. And we'll look into all of those points very strongly. Thank you. Gary, please, go ahead.
Going on. Governor of Utah, thank you very much, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President. Let me add my amen to all that's been said heretofore, and we appreciate the work that's been